Let me start this over. Y'all, what's good? What's good? What's good? Shane D in the building. I'm here with my homie, AKA the live stream guru, Rodney Cajudo. I want to shout out to everybody that's in attendance right now. Jarvis, Julio, Sean, Touch, Wayne, Jamila, congratulations on keeping your gig, even though it got extended. Hoof, Bando, Asia, Major League. I'm glad you're here. As more people are coming in, they will catch up on what's happening. People are coming in from Kansas City. We had Jamaica in the house. Cali's in the building. Texas, Detroit. So we're speaking to a lot of you all. And I'm going to make sure that I'm still able to, if people have questions on Facebook, I'm going to see if I can get them to see. Oh, we got 3 people tuning in via Facebook. So if you have questions, oh, geez. If you have questions on Facebook, there's always a 20-second delay, but post your questions up and I will make sure that we can get to them. How it's gonna go down is Rodney and I are gonna talk, and Rodney's gonna hit you with a lot of gems. Like he blessed me. We had a phone conversation a couple of days ago and he blessed me with some gems to consider and think about. And I held a live stream yesterday. So I wanna share with you all how that went down. And like why you need to do it. And after we go through what we discussed, we'll handle questions. So if you wanna ask questions, feel free to put it in the chat. You can do it in the QA. So Jabron, I see your question and we'll address everything toward the end because Rodney's gonna have a lot of good insight for you. So I'm very excited about this. So I'll give you a little background. Rodney and I met, he's your cousin, right? Abe, your cousin?
Abe is my cousin, yeah.
That's right, okay.
Abe is my cousin.
So one of my good homies, Abe, and I we were working on a filming project, essentially, where we were live streaming this ladies' conference. And we wanted to basically live stream the whole thing for people who couldn't make it. And he was like, you gotta call my cousin Rodney. He's like the man that's done this. And so Rodney came on and really like held the fort down and was just like, all right, we need this, we need that, we need that. And like, we basically ran through an insane, 3 days of filming, crazy stories. We had at one point, I remember they had a huge pipe and drape and at one point it fell over. We had that on camera. Like it was an insane moment, but like Rodney has definitely been the man when it's come to any questions about live streaming. Like everybody I know hits him up. I ask him questions about it. And I was like, there's no better person to talk to you all about this than him. So Rodney, please take it away, sir.
Hey guys, thanks Jamie for having me. Thanks for reaching out too. I mean,
yeah,
this is, I hope this comes to you guys, everybody, healthy and safe.
Yes.
Again, this is touching the whole world. We were talking and like Jamie was saying, a lot of people have been starting to like hit me up about just live streaming because they know that I've been doing it for a while. So just like personal sort of background on me, I've been into live streaming just forever. I've always seen it live streaming and podcasts. So currently right now, I'm a live stream video producer for 2 different podcasts. So one is called Found Creative Voices, which talks about Filipino Americans in the creative fields. And then another one is called Pan Geekery, which is a geek related podcast. We just, we geek out a bunch of different stuff. But we live stream that. And then we also live stream games. We play games and things like that. So we live stream that to Twitch. Every Monday night from 8 p.m. PST. And it's been real, but it's just a culmination of sort of all of my experience, right? So like Shammy says, so currently I own my own TriCaster Mini, and I have basically a TV studio, live streaming TV studio, and it's actually sitting right there in that little black bag right there. That's how small it is, right? So it's basically like a mini computer. You set it up and then you can stream a bunch of different it's a TV switcher, so you can hook up 4 cameras, audio source, and then just stream. And I could literally stream a TV very close to a TV quality broadcast, all from like maybe 2 bags
Sweet.
of stuff.
That's
right?
amazing.
So yeah, that's kind of like, oh, of course that's on the higher end, which we'll talk about later.
Definitely.
But yeah, so I've been around, like, I was always looking into like live streaming, even like before, like even before Google Hangouts was a thing. I don't know if you guys remember, like Google Plus was a thing, right?
Yes.
And they also did like, they did like live stream Google Plus on air. So there was all these like people that would just use this Google Plus Hangouts on air, and they would have these panels and conversations, and then people would live stream like their concerts, and people would get together and like live stream like, oh, they do a tutorial on like photos, or this is one photographer that I found. He would just sit there and he would just live stream himself editing his photos, and then kind of talk about like how he took them, where the stories behind it. But it was just compellingly fascinating. And I think me and Ross was talking about it, was like, I've always been drawn to it because I'm always sort of like, like you guys, I'm sure like all of you are. And like, I don't necessarily have like huge aspirations to like be, a CNN or ESPN. It's more of like, hey, look, what can I do with like minimal amount of resources and still like just kind of DIY things, right? So you have the YouTube generation, you have all these people, all these content creators that are growing up where like they literally have all this stuff at their fingertips, right? So I also dabble in filmmaking and shooting. So like I love the idea that like, okay, I have this DSLR, I can make a short film just with this DSLR, right? And then like YouTube, you see it everywhere now. And so, and it's even way more prevalent now, right?
Yes.
Because everybody has that sort of technology at their fingertips. And so, and I was, thinking, so like, I've always been trying to make live streaming my living. And now with the coronavirus, it's now live streaming is literally something that I need to live.
Yeah.
So we're finding that everybody is,
facts.
I mean, I was just watching a Patreon streamathon. John Legend was streaming from his phone. You have all these people, and I'm sure everybody here have seen that in their own sort of like Facebook and social media things.
Totally.
Like, people are streaming. I'm in the process of like converting my room into like a studio. I'm going to set up my TriCaster, all that stuff, because all the things that I've been doing, like I can't do it now. I literally can't do it now. So, but we did, so that's kind of like my background. I know that's a little bit more, but like, we said with Arash, we did that live stream. We did a live stream conference, and that was always like my biggest thing is like, I really want to get to the point where like, I could live stream conferences just by bringing like a backpack with me. And then just setting up, and then just doing that stuff and having that my main bread and butter. So I do live stream every chance I get. I try to do live stream on any kind of project. I help family members with like live streaming their funerals to like the Philippines, because people can't get there, and so it's just becoming more and more a thing. It's huge. It is really, really huge.
I think we've seen, and I'm very curious to get your take on like the trends you've seen over time, because you've been just paying attention to it for so long. But it can come in very handy, like you just said, live streaming a funeral. Like if there's a grandma that can't make it over, or an uncle that can't fly over overseas, live streaming is like such an essential tool that you can use to broadcast the funeral to them, so that way they can still stay connected. And I think that's the thing ultimately about live streaming. It's a different kind of connection that you can create that's literally in your pocket, right? At the minimum.
So right now, I mean, obviously, even right now, what we're doing right now is a perfect example, right? We're in a webinar, but we're live streaming this to Chevy's, to his Facebook. And it's like, yesterday he did his DJ set, and he had like, I think there was one point there was like, I saw like 70 people in there.
Bro, it crossed the 80 mark.
So it was like, so I was watching that. I live streamed it to my Twitch channel. And it's just like the technology. So like the trends, like, when I first, and I've been following this like from the very beginning, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, you know, people that were just like live streaming, like, you know, if you remember back in the day, there was a thing called Justin TV. And
Mm-hmm.
then now it's like Justin TV is literally, I think they became like Twitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then there's all these like live streaming things like just over the web, and there was like even all these startups that trying to getting into it, and they kind
Mm-hmm.
of like fell by the wayside. But now you have, you know, like Jim said, in your pocket. Right, you see so many people doing Facebook Live, right? So many people during like, you know, during the Ferguson riots, were like, you know,
Right.
carrying just their phone and like a streaming backpack and walking around and streaming basically everything that they saw. I'm sure everything like during the Hong Kong protests. So like from a news organization standpoint, right? People are doing that. People are
Yeah.
like they have like a backpack on with a camera. It's got like bonded cellular connection, and they're streaming from anywhere. And
Yeah.
same thing, like you got your pocket in your phone, you're streaming anywhere, right?
Yes.
So, but then there's like that's that level, but then there's the higher level, like myself with the TriCaster, where I have like 4 cameras set up and stuff. So there's all these different tiers, right?
Yeah.
And so like one of the trends that's pretty amazing actually lately is that sort of like the boom in like, and what's really driving it too is like gaming, right? So you know, the gaming world is really pushing the streaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have Twitch streamers like, so I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but like Ninja is a Twitch streamer. He
Well,
plays,
let's
yeah,
ask. I'm curious. Let me jump in.
yeah,
Well, 2 things before we get there. I just want to point out how powerful live streaming is, right? Like Rodney mentioned, people were able to see what was going on in Ferguson, Missouri, because people were getting on. I think at the time, Periscope was still a
yeah,
thing,
like
right?
Periscope, yeah,
Right, Meerkat. And they were just grabbing their phones and showing what's up. That was happening when Egypt had the Arab Spring riots
yeah,
going on, right?
yeah,
That the Hong Kong protest.
yeah,
Like the news won't show you what's going on, but people can immediately pull their phone out and say, "This is what's happening in time right now."
yeah.
And again, powerful. What that creates is connection, because you're seeing things happen in real time. So if you're imagining this is the level of things that are happening globally
Yeah.
with your phone, what's the power? Consider how powerful it can be when you apply that to yourself as a DJ, right? So it's just a big
It's
point that I don't want to gloss over.
it's an immediate connection, right? There's an immediate connection, and then also because of the same tools, you have chat there, right? So
Right.
you have chat. We have chat here with you guys. So like hello Ryan, Ryan Steele, 27-year-old from Tacoma, Washington, right? Like
Yeah.
he's to me. So he's, you know, I'm here. We're both here in LA, and
Yeah.
you know here, you know, I mean that's just like the reach is just it's global, right? Which is, you know, goes without saying. But the immediate connection is really powerful. So
Absolutely.
I'll even give you another example.
Please.
So even last year for my birthday, I've always, you know, I always had a really strange relationship with my birthday. I don't know if anybody kind of relates, but like I always kind of like not really like looking forward to it, and you know, whatever. I know, just feel like getting older, whatever. And then, but last year I was like, you know what, I want to just like kind of just let's flip the script on that. Let me take it to a different level. And so I said, like, you know what, I'm going to give up my birthday. I'm going to do a 24-hour charity stream and raise money for autism, because my nephew is autistic. And I was like, you know, so I did this. We did this with my podcast crew, Pine Geekery. We streamed for 24 hours.
Wow.
And we were able to raise like $1,000, which is not. It's a good amount. Like I mean, it's a good amount. I'm saying, but it's like it was amazing because the
That's
power in that, right, is because we were able to, one, connect with people, talk with people in the chat. We provided them content, ongoing content. We were playing games. We were doing a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Mainly playing like, you know, games. Some on like PCs, some on the Switch. You know, we had like a Smash Brothers tournament, all this stuff. Yeah, and then we kept just like we would just talk with people, and we're just like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're trying to raise money for. And we brought awareness.
Mm-hmm.
We brought you know, brought some money to the cause, and then man, we had a ton of fun doing it. Yeah, but it was like the immediate connection because it was live. Like it was live. There was no editing. There was no script. It was just like live. And we're just like, you know, and it was just great. And it was really powerful. We'll probably do it again.
Yeah, that's amazing. The I think, first of all, I'm glad that you did. I was just thinking of like the next topic, but the idea that you changed from, I don't know, do with my birthday to like raising a grant for autism awareness or autism research, and contributing toward that. Just off a thought, I'm gonna live stream for 24 hours. Like, how amazing and powerful is that, right?
It's really powerful, and part of it too is it's not a unique idea, right?
No, it's
I had seen other Twitch streamers, so obviously there's different communities too, right? So like in the streaming world, there's different communities. Like what's really driving it is probably the biggest one is like gamers, right? So you guys are all familiar with like Twitch. Stuff. So a lot of those.
I wanted to ask. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask if you're listening in. Tell us in the chat like what streaming platforms do you know? Rodney mentioned Twitch. Are there other ones that you use? Are you gamers? Tell us in the chat as we keep going. Go ahead, Rodney. I'm so sorry.
No worries. And then I keep touching my face. Like I swear, I was like, man, like it's like yo. It's so funny, right? I mean, everybody's saying all this stuff, like you don't realize how much you do, like So, anyways, yeah. So like Facebook Live is, Facebook is like they see what everybody else is doing and they do it, right? So Facebook Live, when Facebook Live came around, they killed Periscope, right?
That's right.
So Periscope was a big deal. Periscope was a huge deal. Like Periscope was like amazing. Like I remember watching it and just seeing it and doing so myself. And then like Facebook's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Let's copy it, and it killed it. So I mean, they still kind of use it. Twitter still kind of uses it, but like it's not as popular as it was before. So like Facebook, but then Facebook Live, like everybody here is on Facebook. So like you guys see all the notifications you got, like people just using Facebook like crazy, right? So like there's Twitch, there's YouTube. But Twitch is really pushing it from like a gaming standpoint. So I've heard some stats, like right now it's like they have like the 75% market share in like the gaming Facebook world, right? Gaming streaming world, I'm sorry. And so but there are new platforms that are coming out. So Mixer is one, which is owned by Microsoft. Twitch is owned by Amazon, and Amazon actually bought Twitch for like $2 billion. So that also gives you reason like to understand like, hey, that like these are the big companies that understand like, okay, streaming is like the way to go,
right?
And not only say the way to go, but like a way to go. It's a content broadcast for them, and like they have to get in the game, right? So Amazon bought Twitch for like $2 billion. Facebook now has Facebook Gaming. YouTube actually has now YouTube Gaming, right? So what's interesting in that trending in that world, right, is like you have all these Twitch streamers. So I started talking about Ninja earlier. So if you guys don't know about Ninja, and I mean, many people don't, but like he's a Twitch streamer and he plays Fortnite. So everybody knows Fortnite. All your nephews and nieces play Fortnite, right? And so you got all these people where it's like, okay, what you can do is like, this guy was huge. He's been playing Call of Duty, all that stuff. He's been streaming for like 8 years. But like Fortnite, it just became this like confluence of events, right? Fortnite became super huge, and then streaming has become like even bigger. And then what happens is like, there was one moment I didn't even know about Ninja until like I was on Twitter, and then one of my the guys I follow on sport, or like one of my sports journalists that I follow, was like, "Hey, my boy Ninja is streaming with Drake right now. They're playing Fortnite." So I was like, "What is that?" Right? So then I click on the link, I go, and there's like, dude, there was like 1 million some viewers or whatever, right? So like, here's Drake, and it was like Drake and Juju Smith-Schuster. And I think, there's a rapper, another pretty well-known rapper. I forget his name right now. But the 4 of them were playing with Ninja. And he's just this kid. Like, I think he's maybe 25 years old, at the most, right? And so like, he just like really blew up. So he's like, and he was like the #1 Twitch streamer. So if you go to Twitch, what'll happen is you'll see like all the like how many people are on, how many people are watching, and he just consistently would have like 50,000 viewers at any time.
That's insane.
Yeah, insane, right? And then, so he was doing it, and then he just blew up. And so what's happening in the last few years is that, I mean, and just Google him, like seriously Google him. You'll see that he's actually making like millions of dollars, easily millions of dollars. And there's like estimates that like sometimes he was making upwards to like $1 million a month, probably even more, and just like endorsements, sponsorships, donations, which we'll get into a little bit more too.
Yes.
So so he goes, and then to kind of like show where things are going. There's just like kind of like an arms race right now between all the streaming platforms. Essentially, Mixer, which is owned by Microsoft, paid Ninja to leave Twitch, and because he was the #1 streamer on Twitch, there's estimates out there that he probably scored like a 3-year, $30 million contract from Mixer from Microsoft.
Yeah, it's wild.
And then so he was he did that, and then because of that, there was all these other people that like basically all these other big name streamers started getting all these contracts. So of course, like Twitch had to keep some of their guys. Then some people switched to YouTube. Some people switched to Facebook. Some people use the all those things. Well, so I say that only because like there's just this realm of like people streaming whatever they're into, gaming, whatever, and making money from it, right? So one of the things too with Twitch, if you're familiar with it, great. If not, if you go on Twitch, you can search, and there's literally, and we'll provide some links too. I put some stuff. There's DJs streaming live. There's people that are just sitting there. There's artists. There's people that are like painting. There's artists that are drawing. There's people that are just sitting there talking. Like
Yep.
They call it just chatting. They call it just chatting. So they're talking, they're interacting with their chat, they're talking with people. And then, so one of the ways, so let's use Ninja as an example. One of the ways he monetized was they get donations, right? So they set up a PayPal. And there's a donation button, and then people they just donate money to them. As much same thing as like if you were DJing, you have a donation kit, a tip jar right there, right?
Yeah.
People come and give away. You guys are DJing, like, yo, I appreciate it. I appreciate the tunes. I dance my ass off. Here's $20, right? Yeah. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that as DJs, right? So just in this case, it's like digital. It's there. It's tied to their PayPal. So basically, when somebody gives a tip, then a notification pops up, and it'll say, and they'll just interact with their chat and be like, hey, Shammy, thanks for the $10. Thanks for the $10 donation, right? And then they just leave, and it's just like this weird culture that sort of evolves, right? And then everybody's like, yeah, we enjoy the content, we enjoy watching you play, we enjoy your personality, because they're talking at the same time they're playing, and so they go and they give the donation. Yeah. And then that's on top of that, right? They get sponsorships. Also Twitch. So another way Twitch streamers make money is they have a thing called subscriptions, and it's very similar to like, I mean, there's so many different ways to monetize, right? I mean, they're utilizing it all, right? They literally are using it all. Like if you go to like their webpage, like they'll have I'm sure most of you here have heard about Amazon affiliate, affiliate marketing. They have affiliate marketing links up, right? They have sponsors, like straight sponsors, where like people are like, a lot of them like gaming companies, like, but like in the DJ world, easily you guys could be like, yeah, okay, sure,
right. Here are these needles. Here are these headphone sponsors.
Right. I use these, and this is like, and they have like on their Twitch page, they have ad space, which is like literally their webpage, and they have like ads and stuff. And then there's actually estimates out there too that like even like on somebody like Ninja's status, it's worth like, dude, crazy amounts of money, just that little like real estate on their webpage. Totally. Right, because they get so much traffic, right? Totally. But there are also smaller streamers, right? There's not huge. Ninja's like the top, like bar none. Like, I mean, honestly, he's the top. So I bring him up because I also wanted to say like, hey, like, okay, this is Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, and those guys are spending tons of money to get these people onto their platform.
Facts.
So they don't do that out of charity. They understand that, like, this is where we're going. This is the way the kids are going. This is the way, dude, my nephews do not watch TV. They watch Twitch, and they watch the Twitch replays on YouTube, you know, and
All from
everybody's on
here.
their phone. Everybody's on their phone. All this stuff, like, you know, the Roku. You know, they wake up in the morning, go to the YouTube app, and they watch this stuff.
Absolutely.
So they know all of these streamers. They know all these gamers. They know all these people. And they know. So it's just like the tip of the iceberg.
Totally.
And it's already huge now, and it's like just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And we're literally living in it right now.
Yes.
Where this is the only way. Like, I mean, I literally watched today, ESPN was doing a Zoom conference for some of their regular shows because, like, they can't go into the studio.
Right.
They can't go to the studio. So
right.
Like, anyway.
So
going back to like Ninja. So going back to the monetization. So there's different ways. So like donations. They have Patreons.
Mm-hmm.
They have Google AdSense because of they take their Twitch video live, make it into the video on demand, upload it to YouTube, and then they have AdSense from there. And then they have traditional sponsors. They tell us stuff, right? And then because they have such a viewership, they get, you know, calls to be like, hey, come to do this commercial or do this sponsorship, come do this event, and they'll get paid to do these events, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So from a different sort of like DJ standpoint, right? Like me and Arash were kind of talking about this. It is like, yeah, DJ, you can sit there and say, okay, if I were to like stream, you could do all the same things. You just literally, it's not gaming, but it's DJing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do all the same things, ask for donations, get your following out, build a platform, build a community around yourself. And I'm sure all of you already have a following, right? I'm sure all of you already have a following. I'm sure all of you already have, like, you see, but then that's also going to translate into, excuse me, I keep burping. It's like, that's going to, translate into, like, people are going to be like, man, this guy, oh yeah, he's based in my area. Let me hire him for my gig. Like, I saw him on this thing. Like, yeah, let me hire him for this gig or look this stuff, right? You're literally displaying your talents.
Right.
You're just literally displaying your talents and your personality.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, I know it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll recap because this is really important. So Rodney and I spoke Monday night because I was like, yo, this needs to go down. I'm going to make this happen. What do I need to do? Rodney hit me with ideas, and I was like, great, I'm going to figure this out and give it a test run. So I post on my personal Facebook, like, hey, I'm about to live stream today, 5 p.m. And people are like, yo, let me know. Post stream when you're ready. So it took me a second to figure out the tech side of things, which we're about to cover in a second. But once I got that up and going, I just went and I start seeing the viewer counts slowly go up. And I'm like, it's happening. And I started getting a rush because I'm thinking people are tuning in, they're listening, or they're watching and seeing what's going on. At an hour in, I was at like 82 people probably at the peak. And I was like, I expected maybe 10 at most. But here's what happens. People shared it. Rodney shared it on Twitch. Other friends of mine that were liking it were like, hey, check out my boy Shammy spinning live. So then just the word starts spreading. And this is how it works. If you have a following, this allows you now to spread your name out to other people because your friends are sharing via word of mouth, the strongest way that you can get a recommendation. So no matter where you are, if you're just beginning in your career, or even if you are established, you can still grow your name. I'm seeing the effects of this ripple out I've crossed the 1K mark on Facebook last night because people were like liking my page now. And then people were adding me on Instagram. And I was like, oh, this is working. And I'm not doing tip jars, right? You can't do tip jars on Facebook anyway, but I'm not moving in that direction right now. All I'm doing is testing it out to see, does this work? How does it work? And is what I'm doing, can that be easily replicated time and time again? And it can, and it can. Thank you so much, Rodney, for hitting me with these ideas and sharing with me the stories of people like Ninja, because it's serious, y'all. Like people like what somebody was like, yo, you need a tip jar, Shammy. And I was like, don't worry about the tip jar. Just spread the video. Just keep sharing to your friends. Right now, that's more important to me than anything else. But imagine if even 100 people are checking you out and like 20 people tip you $5, you just made $100 on a stream. Like, that's not bad, especially right now when there are no gigs happening. Like, any money is good money. So just consider the long-term effects of what this can do for you, and like, get started ASAP, right? Get started ASAP. Don't like on it just because you don't understand it. And this is the mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to technology. Like, people like, oh, I don't get TikTok, so I'm not going to try it. What is this? The kids love it. The kids love it. And what that's doing is you're cutting yourself off from a potential source of marketing, really. And this is what live streaming, this is how you should really be looking at it, as a source of marketing for you, for your brand, for what you do as a DJ. You never know who is watching. And like Rodney mentioned before, somebody can be a potential client because, oh, I need a DJ. Oh, Shammy was live streaming during the coronavirus 10 months ago. I need oh, cool, let me do this. You know what I mean? So let me hit him up and see what's going on. You never know how it's gonna look like down the line. All you can do, and all that we are suggesting you to do, is show up and do it. It'll get better as you go along. You'll figure out how it all works, but just do it and see what happens. Bando asked about tip jar. We'll get to that in a second, but it's not tipping. I think happens on like Mixer and Twitch.
They all have different ways they do it.
Okay.
The Facebook gaming for sure has like a tipping way. YouTube gaming as well. They allow tips through YouTube. The way Twitch uses it, there's no actual donation bar. Well, there's several ways, right? So the way we've done it is, in which way everybody does it, all the gamers do. On our channel, we set up a PayPal, and then you go through a third party, another website, and you set up a donation link, and then you link your PayPal to that, right?
Yes. And
then from there, that's where you kind of get donations. But then also Twitch, after you get to a certain point of becoming an affiliate, which is it's actually pretty easy to get affiliate. We got affiliate last year on my Pangeekery video podcast channel. It's like 150 followers, and then like you have to stream a certain amount of time. There's like 3 or 4 sort of like criteria you have to do to hit affiliate. Once you hit affiliate, you can become, you can get money through ads that run on your channel. Then you can get money through subscriptions. So that's another reason. That's another thing. Another reason why people are able to kind of like calculate how much Ninja was making, because your subscription is like $5 a month, and then you subscribe to the channel, and it's like $5, right? And then there's also Twitch Prime, which is essentially your Amazon Prime account. So people can subscribe to you using their Amazon Prime account, and it doesn't cost them anything. But it's essentially a $5 payment towards you. And then, of course, Twitch takes a little bit of payment. So let's say you have 10 subscribers a month, that's $50, right?
A month.
Right, that's guaranteed, right? It's there. And so, you figure how many people he had, or how many people some of these subscribers do, it gets there. But then, like, you can cheer, they call it called bits, and it's basically you're cheering the person, and essentially that's sending them, like, every time you cheer, it's like, like 50 cents, things like that. So there's different ways just through the platform. But there's other ways, right? So, like I said, a lot of these guys are, they're setting up a Patreon, and then they say, hey, set up on the Patreon for $5 a month, and I'll give X, Y, and Z to you, as a Patreon supporter. We do that. So we're in the process of doing that too.
Got it.
We're in the process of setting that up as well. But there's just there's multiple streams of income that are definitely available. It's just a question of like really kind of building up your platform and just really working it. Right?
And that's a really good point. DJs don't be like jumping on Twitch and be like, yo, I'm about to get like 30 subscribers this week. Like imagine how long Ninja was gaming for, right? And you mentioned this when we chatted, Rodney, like people were streaming for a very long time and basically doing it for no money for the longest until they started building up their audience and then could be an affiliate, right? There's a process to all this. So part of the reason I'm suggesting you start now is because you can get the process going, because it's going to take time. It's going to take time. Don't think that this is going to happen overnight for you. What we're showing you now is here's what's possible for you. And that's the big thing about Ninja, and part of why it's so exciting to hear a story like his is that see what he did, right? But you really need to analyze what he was doing when he first jumped on Twitch to get to that point. So don't miss that arc of the story. And that's because that's a really important part that people tend to look over. We just say, yo, he got 30 million for 3 years estimated. And I can do that. Not the case. There's a lot of work that has to get put into that before you can start live streaming Fortnite with Drake. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, it's really all about like, you got to put the time in, right? I mean, just in anything, like, I mean, that's one of the things where we're really finding it just a challenge is, okay, and I always have to remind everybody that I have a bunch of producers, hosts, and things like that, and I have some business partners as well with the Pain Geekery podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I have to always kind of remind everybody, it's like, it just doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. If you listen to any of the success stories of like any of the bloggers, like big time bloggers or big time YouTubers, or in this case big time streamers, they all say it's like, we were grinding for years. We were just grinding for years, and then finally, like, they caught a break, and then it just like blew up, right?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it's just a question of just like putting in it's just knowing, and then being part of the community. The good thing about like, and honestly, even just yesterday was like a perfect example, like exactly what I was talking about to Arash was like. He's on there, and I don't know if you guys all saw his, if he jumped into his Facebook stream or whatever, and he's on there, and he's on the mic, and he's like, people are in the chat saying hi to chat, and he's just like, hey, I see you, and he's like giving shout outs, and that's what the streamers do. They're like, hey, I see you, and they're talking. People ask a question, they'll say stuff, and just having a conversation. So what's happening is like they're actually building a community. They're building a community around you and your talents and your personality, and they're just building things. So like, and it's just really, I mean, honestly, it's a really, really cool way. Obviously, it doesn't beat like real life connections and stuff like that, but it also does provide like a great way to just like build a community. And you're like, you're loving music together. You're grooving out. So there
were 2 DJs that you found on Twitch. I think that might be a good example for people to check out.
Yeah, I mean, they're actually live right now too. So
I'm gonna put this in the chat so people.
I think they're still live right now, but like sometimes they quit. But yeah, I just did when we were talking in prep, I was just like, okay. Let me just research and see what kind of DJs are out there who are doing stuff, right? And I found several examples. Right now, these are 2 that are on live as of like right before we went live.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are live, so they're on Twitch. They're DJing, and then I found a bunch of other ones, and there was like it varies. It's like they're literally just like And the thing is, the good thing about it is, and this one of the other things too is. When me and Arash had our initial conversation about this was, you guys got a pretty good step up rate because you already have all the audio equipment, right?
Right.
Yeah, you guys already have all the audio equipment. Like you literally have all the lights. You have all that stuff. Like you're literally just gonna have to set up a camera, get a few things like different things to do. But like you guys have all the audio equipment. For me, from the video guy, I had all the video stuff, but like I had to learn the audio stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I had to really, really learn the audio stuff, and I had to really, and I'm still learning. It's like sound to me is like it's a challenge, but like to you guys, like you guys already know all that stuff, right?
Can we talk about that? Can we talk about
Yeah.
a few the kind of like at least 3 tiers that DJs can look at when they're looking to live stream?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, one is exactly what Arash did yesterday, right?
Which would be
Just like
like the middle stream, I would say.
I mean, yeah, I would say probably like a middle stream. Yeah, because like I mean, you were essentially streaming from like your camera or your iPhone, right? Or
My iPad.
your iPad. So
Hmm.
yeah, so like you can stream from your phone, set up your phone, and then stream it to Facebook Live or Twitch. Twitch has an app. Twitch has an app. You can stream to your just basically you just stream from your phone, and then put your audio feed into your phone, right?
Yeah.
You get a little dongle, right? You need a dongle, and then put that on, and then stream that, and
Yeah.
then you're good. You
So
know,
let me
like,
share. Yeah, this is what so I was on chat with Apple yesterday because I knew their stores might be closed, but their tech support is still open, just in case you're wondering. Uh, the guy on there we were researching ideas on what to look for that would work with a USB-C connection. And he came across this. I didn't know about it, but IK Multimedia makes a lot of stuff for mobile devices. The most common thing is the iRig. So not the iRig Stream, but just the iRig, which I also have. And a lot of it is used for guitar. People can just plug in and play and listen. So what I liked about this is where the iRig is a mono signal, the iRig Stream gives you stereo. And how it works, actually, it's right here. Let me grab it real quick. But essentially how it works is there is, did my video freeze?
no, I don't think so.
Okay. So there is this is the unit essentially, and they have a few different connections. I use USB-C for my iPad, but they also have Lightning and USB-A. And then here were my inputs. And then this would be basically my volume control, right? My input control. The cool thing is you can power it if you have an adapter. They also have like loop back if you want to change the signal to mono, that's doable. Here they give you options for headset. You can mic or headphones. You have the option to adjust volume. So it's a pretty, so I like this because I was looking for something to use stereo. I recommend you test it out. If whatever thing you decide to use, there's a way to test it out essentially by like recording a video of yourself with the unit plugged in, playing the music at different volumes, noting what volume you're at, and then get on the mic as well. And then just note like which one sounded good depending on where you're at. So I was playing music and then I'd be like, my volume's at 9 o'clock. And I let that hang for a second. I said, here's 12 o'clock, let that hang for a second. 3 o'clock, let that hang for a second. And I went back and watched the video and just paid attention to what was good. The cool thing about this, it also gives you a signal. If you're low, it shows blue. If you're okay, it's green. High is red. So it lets you know that you might be distorting, because distorted sound is the worst. The worst.
Oh, yeah, the worst.
So that was my medium setup yesterday, and it sounded great. And then, do you have an idea? Like basic setup would be just the dongle.
Yeah, I think honestly the basic setup is that would be like the dongle into your, from your rig into your phone or iPad, and then streaming there.
Yeah.
Right? That's like as basic as you could possibly be, right?
Yeah.
And then I think like a step above that is like, on your computer. So like all the game streamers, they have a webcam. Like right now I have a webcam. Then they stream their computer, what they see on their computer, and then they have a mic, like a USB mic, USB mic, and then they go to using OBS, which is, there's other software out there, but like the one predominantly it's like OBS. It's called, it's essentially captures your screen. It gives your sound inputs in, all that stuff. You can create all these different things. It's free, and it's totally free. And it's really powerful, honestly. It's seriously, it's seriously really, really powerful. Yeah, and then, so it's like, well, the thing is, like, so I'm real quick, Arash.
Yes.
People sort of saying in chat, like, one thing that keeps popping up is, like, copyright. Right?
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
So, obviously, copyright, and this is one thing we talked about, too, Arash. Like, I think yesterday when he was streaming, like, because I've noticed it, too. I would stream to Facebook, and then all of a sudden it would die. And I think it was, like, because of copyright stuff. Yep. YouTube is the same way, right? YouTube would kill you, things like that. There's definitely these, like, but Twitch, so those two examples there, right? And I was, like, watching another stream the other night. It's like, those aren't, like, I mean, I don't know exactly all the details, but like Twitch seems to be really, really, really lax about like their copyright stuff, because a lot of the gamers, when they play games, they're actually playing music while they're playing.
That's right.
So they're actually playing, they have like their playlists, playing, and they're just like, they're listening to music. So some people, when they're doing, they call them IRL streams or just chatting, they're listening to music while they're talking. Right. And all these DJs, see, it's like, they have a lot of like these DJs. There's a lot of DJs that are streaming. Right. So I think we'll have to like definitely look more into it. But I think out of all the platforms, I think Twitch is probably the one that's the most like, lax about like the copyright stuff. Right.
Yes.
So I think go ahead.
So I had, when I was live streaming, I had a friend of mine who lives in Canada was like, I can't get on. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm on. She's like, no, I tried multiple times. It keeps kicking me off. Well, very early on, Facebook blocked any kind of my live stream to Canada entirely, just because I was playing, like Sony had a claim on it. So this is what's going to happen in your stream, particularly on Facebook, that they'll mute a section that the content ID is catching, and then open it up again after a while. And I could catch when something was happening like that, because I would see my numbers drop all of a sudden. And there's no way for me to know outside of numbers or someone saying, hey, your stuff's muted, but nobody told me that while I was live streaming. So there's no way for me to know. And afterwards I'd see like, Universal has a claim on your thing. So-and-so has a claim on your video. So it's annoying. It's just annoying. There's nothing we can really do about it right now. What I am looking into is seeing if like ASCAP and BMI, if you pay for a license, will that still allow you to stream? I'm not sure. It might not, but I'll look into that and report back with whatever I find. But it's a tricky thing for right now. It's really stupid, but we have to deal with it for time being. So and I saw somebody said you can post your thing on SoundCloud, but this isn't about SoundCloud. This is about live streaming and sharing what you're doing in the moment with everybody. And so we're navigating that. Another thing, if we're talking about problems, a second problem that I wanted to share was that Facebook kicked me off twice. Not like kicked me off, but all of a sudden my live stream just shut down. Yeah. And so internet bandwidth is a big thing. Make sure that when you're live streaming, that your connection is solid. One way to help with that is to turn off other devices that might be using internet, because that pulls a little bit of bandwidth every time. So just focus on allow whatever device you're using that's streaming to be the sole device that's using internet if possible. And then the volume test. So just make sure that you're testing your volume before you go live. Otherwise, you're going to sound really low. Or the music's going to sound hot, but your mic is going to sound low. So you want to test that out before you go live to see how it sounds to everybody else's ears. Any other thoughts, Rodney? And we can get to some of the other questions that came in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be, it's definitely, the copyright thing is probably going to be the number one sort of barrier, right? Just trying to figure out how to navigate that. But I think, like I said, I think of all the platforms, Twitch is probably the one that is a lot more lax on it.
Mm.
And so, like I said, when I did a search just on Twitch website just for DJs last night and even today, there was a bunch that popped up. There were a lot. So there was one, she had like 300 views. There was another one that had like 500 viewers at the time, right?
That's amazing.
So, you know, it's obviously it's like, okay, finding, you know, obviously I come from I follow the gaming aspect of it, right? So the DJ aspect of it is something, you know, we have to like do a lot more research on. But like I think it's just from a cursory search, I saw a bunch of DJs, right? I saw a lot of DJs, right? And so just goes to show you, it's like, okay, you know, it's a possibility. It's a very real possibility. So yeah, and then I mean, also in the chat here, some people saying like, yeah, do it on your own website. You know, there are softwares that allow you to stream. You know, there are softwares that you can allow you to stream, you know, yourself. You don't have to use Twitch or something like that. I mean, that's you know, there were other streams, like there were other platforms like Ustream, you know, bunch of different ones, you know, different platforms, but these are the ones that are like sort of have an established audience.
Yeah. Experiment again. I think it's the right, like that's the one thing.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Go on.
Experiment, and that's the thing. It's like that's the thing. It's like going back to like what we were talking about trends. It's like, dude, it's like so much stuff is happening, and it's happening so fast, right? And it's like so fast. Like all this stuff that I've been following for a long time, and now they're like, you know, like even Canon is straight selling cameras that are specifically towards streamers.
That's right.
Right? They're like literally they're marketing it towards streamers, right? And there's all these products out there now that are like literally made for streamers, right? That is like it's crazy. And it's like they're really inexpensive. And it's just like all this stuff. So like it's sort of like the Wild West in some ways. You think it's established, but it really isn't. It really isn't. It's not established. It's like it's sort of still very much the Wild West.
Totally.
You know, and it's just like all this stuff is happening, and it's like, you know, I mean, even when like Google Fiber came up, like I remember talking to my cousin Abe and Arash about this, but like when Google Fiber came out, and now you have 5G.
Yeah. It's
like there's no stopping anyone from like, dude, you can stream like high speed bandwidth, like Google Fiber, all that stuff. Like everybody has like 100 gigs now on this stuff. Like you can stream from your garage, convert your garage into your dance studio. Seriously. You know what I mean? Like, and just have like a dance studio / DJ studio / TV studio. You can have your own podcast. Like, I mean, and it's like DJing too. So like, you know, I mean, like my eventual goal is like, I really want to have, and Arash knows this too, is like, I really want to have like a TV network. And then TV, a podcast network. But my podcasts are video and audio, right? Yeah. So I want to have a creative space where I'm just like streaming constantly. Yeah. So like from 8 to 9, there's a, you know, here's a show, here's a podcast with Arash, DJ Shami, and then he spins for a little bit, but then he talks to somebody. So like, there's other ways of like making content too, but like you base it around like your DJing, right? So there's ways of like, yeah, I mean, you can even create a podcast based on your DJ world. Like you can create a podcast where like, yeah, you talk about like the trends in DJing, but then also you have like people come on, like other DJs, and have them talk about things, right? Why not? Like there's just so many possibilities, right? Yeah. There's so many possibilities. Live stream all of that, and then like put it up there, put it onto your website, you know, all these things. Like I think one of the things that our current situation is really, really showing all of us is that like we have to be very, very creative. Yep. We have to. This is like a challenge that none of us, no one alive has ever faced. Yep. Right? I mean, maybe World War II is probably the closest thing to some of this global sort of thing, but like now we're in this place where like we have to sort of like be really creative and challenge ourselves to be like, okay, let's find ways to like, let's do our art, but also make money so we don't die and survive, you know? Absolutely. And so yeah, so I mean that's a lot. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just try it out. Look, I want to go over real quick the 3 different tiers of what you can do to stream. So at its base level, and I can't find a dongle on me, but if you just have your iPhone, you go lightning to headphone jack, and then you go headphone jack to something like, oh no, not even this. You try that to RCA Y cable. Oh, so RCA out to headphone in, and then connect those, right? If that doesn't work for you, get something like this particular one. So it's a TRS with tip ring sleeve to TRRS, tip ring sleeve. And what that does is trick the headphone input to receive signal. So you then plug the end of out of your controller or your mixer into the in of this, and then that will go into your phone as audio. And you connect your mic to your mixer, and that's how you talk to people and you go live, right? So one of those options would be very base level, because I want everybody here to give it a shot within the week and see how it goes for yourself. And that's plug and play, just go to get started. The second tier would be like what I did. I used a separate iPad, not my laptop, and separate iPad for the camera. I plugged in the iRig stream and it was good to go. The third way would to have like laptop with camera with audio interface. That's like pro quality tip. So that's like the third tier. If you happen to have a camera, you'll need like a USB capture card.
And yeah, like a capture card. You'll need something that as a camera that is, they call it clean HDMI out.
Yes.
So essentially it's like every camera can connect to into your computer, and you can see from what the ceiling is, but it'll show like all the writing, the display, all that stuff. So when they say clean HDMI out, that means basically none of that's showing. You just see the image. Yes. Right. So you just need a camera that has clean HDMI out. And then from there you're good. So then like, for instance, if you wanted to like, okay, even like in my situation here, like that next tier would probably be, like you said, like your computer or a laptop, and then your DJ rig, and then a camera with some lights, some LED light panels. Just, think of the production quality a little bit, right? So you're taking it up a little bit of a step, right? And then that camera would go into your computer using like a video capture device. And they sell cheap ones for like $100. Yeah. Relatively cheap considering like all the other things out there. It's called Elgato is one of the ones where it's like, it's literally like the HDMI goes in and then it goes USB, and then you just plug it into your computer, and then your computer sees it as a webcam, right? So, and then you're able to, okay, and then with a program like OBS, then you were able to like bring it in, and then with OBS you put it. With OBS, like if you, like you said, go to spend some time, go to Twitch, go to all these gamers, go to this stuff. They'll have like overlays. They have all these things going on where it's like they have chat going, and there's a lot of some really really cool stuff. Yeah, OBS is amazing. I mean, honestly, like it's amazing. I can't believe it's free. Like, seriously, I can't believe it's free.
It's insane.
They should charge for that. Then hopefully they don't hear me say that.
I'm looking to see on my little Sony if it shows clean HDMI, and it does.
Pretty sure it does.
Yeah. So
most of those,
So the menus are fairly the same. It's kind of out of focus. So I don't know if you can see in my lunchbox setting, it says HDMI settings. And when I click on it, it gives me it says HDMI info display. So I can turn that off. And when I do, and I look at when it goes through the HDMI cable into the laptop, all this writing that you see on the bottom doesn't show anymore. So that's what Rodney's talking about when he says clean HDMI, just so you know. And
then you guys have the audio. You bring in audio source, which is coming from your DJ, from your soundboard, your sound mixer, all that stuff. You just go. It's just like regular out, right? And then you might have to have like again like a USB-A, I think,
Yeah.
you know, into your computer. But yeah, something like that, and then just like you're good, you know.
Yeah.
Like and it's the thing is like I said, I've been following this for a long time, and even just following the tech, and like a lot of times I would just like, how do I do this? Like, how do I get this to work? Like, I know people are doing it, and I would just fiddle around with it and mess around with it. And a lot of stuff is like, yeah, obviously it's like there are things like, yeah, you could throw money at it, right? That you could throw money at it, throw money at the problem, but you'd be really surprised. Like I said, these days, like there's so many streamers out there now that like there's some stuff out there where you can get up streaming for like probably like less than $200, you know, and have a really decent setup, you know.
Yeah,
decent.
absolutely.
I mean, there's LED. I mean, just off the top of my head, there's like LED lights on Amazon for like $150 for like 2 LED light panels.
Yeah.
You put those up.
Yep.
You get your camera. You know, I mean, there's a camera that's like $500 from Canon, which is like does sound kind of a bit, but like for what it does, like it's better than buying like $1,000 camera.
Yeah,
and it's a way better quality than a $20 or $40 webcam, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to just do webcam, I mean, this is just a webcam. You know, this is a webcam right here. You know, as long as you light yourself pretty well, you know, your audio, and plus you're DJs, so like the audio is probably the most important. Right.
Yeah.
The more so, yeah, you know, it's pretty. You'd be surprised. It doesn't take much to do.
Absolutely not.
It doesn't take much to do. Yeah. And
I want to. Sorry.
No.
I was going to interrupt. So Jamila, you would go RCA out to 1/8 inch, quarter eighth. Yeah, 1/8 inch, which is the headphone jack that we all normally use, into your dongle, into your phone. And that's how the basic plug and play tier would be. I would also try, so you don't buy this right away, test it out with just the headphone jack. I'll do the same thing and put an update about it. But that's how that would work. There are other cables that are similar to this, by the way. Just do an Amazon search for TRS to TRRS and see what shows up. I do want to get into the QA questions. So Jabron asked, if you're still on, Jabron, hopefully you are, but he asked, what services do you use so I can have my live stream? So we talked about the major ones, which are Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Mixer. Some people have posted here chat.fm. I'm sorry, cast.fm. I don't know if you know other ones, Rodney?
No, I've heard of that. Yeah, I have heard of that one, but I haven't used it before. Yeah. These are I think this is what he was saying, like, yeah, you can stream from your website, right?
I see.
I think this is what
something that I do want people to consider, though, is you don't necessarily want to go to the super obscure streaming sites. Like, you want to be where the people are if you want to build a fan base. So you want to do Facebook, you want to do YouTube, you want to do Twitch, even IG Live. Try that and see what happens. I know some people have mentioned that it's not, people still get cut. But look, you get cut, keep it going, because your sound will probably come back, right? Which was Jabron's second question. How do you deal with the copyright issue? I just say you keep going, and eventually you'll figure it out. Either it gets fixed or it doesn't. And saying things like, I don't own the rights to the music, doesn't really work, because it's the content ID AI that's listening in and matching music. Yeah. So nobody's really paying attention to what you're writing. They're just listening to what's being heard. Do you have any thoughts on that? Other thoughts?
I think we'll, collectively what we could do is do a lot of research on, like, just following some of these DJs that are on Twitch and seeing what they're doing, right? Yeah. Because obviously they're doing something right, where they're not getting hit, they're doing it, and they got huge, audience. They're not, so kind of looking into that. Like I said, we talked on Monday, and I honestly will do a lot more research on myself as well. Yeah. But that was one of the things we did talk about. We did talk on Monday. We're like, hey, the one thing we have to figure out is like copyright stuff, but it's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are doing it. So it would be different if, like, we're just coming along and like, oh, let's do DJing, and no one was doing it. It's like, no, people are doing it. People are
Right.
streaming their DJ sets, so they're doing something, and they figured something out where
Right.
they're not getting. So obviously, the example with Arash on Facebook Live, he did it, and then he got kicked a few times and all that stuff. So it's, the copyright thing is like, that's something everybody has to deal with. Like even the streamers, like a lot of these streamers, when they upload their stuff to YouTube, like they understand, like, yeah, they try to keep certain things out of their Twitch because they know they can't upload it to YouTube, right? Because they know they'll upload it to YouTube, but it's just going to be like, they can't make money on that video, right? For the AdSense, but it's still there. So like, I get copy strikes all the time on my YouTube stuff.
Same.
But like, it's just like, I can't make money on it, but it's still there. It's just there, right? So I think if you get too many strikes, you get to a point where like they shut your account down. But like, I mean, it's definitely something we should definitely all collectively look into. Yeah, and Arash will definitely look into. But
but don't let it stop you. I think is what you're saying.
I would say don't let it stop you. Yeah. I would say like, try out Twitch, sign up. It's free to sign up, set up a Twitch account, and just like kind of just like mess around with that there. If you have any questions, I'm totally here for you guys. Like if you have, just like
a couple more questions. So Jarvis asks, how do you benefit monetarily through live stream? We touched on that through cheers, through PayPal, whatnot, however it's set up through the platform, right?
Yeah. So I would say there's different streams of income. It's almost like in a lot of things too, where you're realizing a lot of these ways of making money is very much pretty kind of tried and true, even from like the days of bloggers, right? It's donations. It's building up an audience where you can get sponsors. Mm-hmm. There's also just there's with PayPal donations. There's subscriptions once you get to a certain level on Twitch. Those are things. But then also translates into real life gigs.
Right.
I think that's the other benefit too that I think they realize. Like, I mean, this kind of what you're seeing here too is like people. I'm doing it. I'm creating this content. They know that I'm the live stream guy, so I'm getting all these calls now. Like I'm getting all these calls are like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you like give me these questions? Because they know. So you're building your brand through just putting yourself out there, and just building your brand is like that's the biggest thing. Just the biggest thing, right? Because then they know, like, hey, oh yeah, this guy, he's this girl, this lady, oh yeah, this is a great DJ. I know this DJ. Oh, let me hire them, or et cetera, right? All these things that come along.
Yes.
So yeah, there's many ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jarvis also asked, like, how do you get around Facebook to DJ live? Well, you can. I think what you're talking about is the whole copyright thing, Jarvis. And we just said that there's just do it. Like, if you get cut, you get cut. Like, whatever. It doesn't give you a reason to stop. I think the main thing is to continuously show up whenever you want to do it. And you also ask about live Instagramming. Try it. It does drain the phone. If you are live IGing, I don't know, that would be the test to see like how to get audio in while DJing and being able to charge it. You might need to do like a lightning dongle that has a pass-through charger and like USB input or something, or headphone input.
The bank, like a battery bank.
Yeah,
like a battery bank on there or something, I mean, there's definitely things. Sometimes, like there's all these ways to, like with cameras, people are charging their, like your Sony camera, you can charge that with a battery bank, right? Yeah. So there's things like that. So yeah, we figure out those things. It might just be one of those things where like, you do that and then have like a separate phone doing something else, right? Yes. You have just a phone just to, stream, right?
Yeah.
So
I was looking for a dummy battery. They have these things called dummy batteries for cameras that you can charge the battery. It's a fake battery essentially, but you can use that to basically leave your camera on as long as you wanted to, because the battery is essentially just a charger. So things like that are pretty cool.
Yeah, even in that case, like, yeah, just streaming like IG Live, like all those things, like, yeah, I would look into. There's different setups we can look at, different
mhm.
things. There's just it all depends on like what level you want to do things at, right? There's all sort of tech out there now that we
Yeah,
can and it's so rarely available, and it's really um, not not that expensive to do,
not really.
to get started.
Right, right. Um, how do you boost your platform on Twitch? He was on, or he did it, but he didn't see many people watching. I I don't. It's organic. I don't. You can't like pay to play with something. Maybe you can with Twitch. I don't know. I'm not that deep in it, but
It's all similar to everything trying to build a platform online, right?
yeah.
It's your biggest thing is going to be social media, right? Social media, like you're gonna tap into your own existing audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like yesterday was a perfect example. Arash went live. All his existing audience just joined, right? And they just knew, oh, like, okay, Arash is doing it. So like posting on your IG, building your IG, building up content where like maybe it's not going to be just all Twitch, right? It's you're going to like make clips of your stuff on like IG or your IG stories, and then
Yeah.
be like, hey, look, I'm streaming live at this time, boom, boom, boom. And then vice versa, like or make you upload a YouTube clip, maybe a minute long. Just boom, I'm gonna puts that and say, yeah, check it out. Like here's a clip of me doing some DJing. Like check me out. I stream live over here, right? So it's like Twitch, the discovery in Twitch is hard. I mean, the good thing about it is it's like not as saturated, right? So there's not like with Fortnite, there's millions of people playing Fortnite, right? So you have a hard time to sort of be discovered. There are a lot of DJs that are DJing on Twitch, so but they're not like a lot of it's not super saturated, right? So on the website alone, there's just discovery, but also just like it's like word of mouth. It's
Mm-hmm.
also the things like we're slowly but surely with our podcast. Like last year we had decent numbers, but like literally slowly but surely, like we're really trending upwards. But it's just like a lot of just really grinding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like we're posting on Insta, we're posting on Twitter. We don't really use Snap. I'm sure we could probably start doing TikTok. We should start using TikTok, right? And then like Facebook, we've built up a pretty good following on Facebook and all these different channels, and just like our own individual channels. We're like, hey, we're live, come check us out. We're doing this, we're doing that, and it's slowly getting there. And then as you get there, and it's just like, I think it's just like anything. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take time to like build. But if you grind it out and kind of push it and do the hard work at it, it's like you're gonna find people are gonna find you, and people are. But one of the things I was talking with Arash about, like on Monday when we were talking, it was like, I'm sure all of you already have like a platform of like fans of you as DJs, right? I'm sure all of you already have it. So you just plug into them and just say, hey, look, I'm streaming now. I'm streaming now. Come check me out, right? And it's like, hey, it doesn't even hurt. It's just like, and it doesn't hurt. Just be like, hey, just self-promote yourself. Be really not aggressive about it, not in your face, but like, but I'm pretty sure all of you guys already have like a decent following of like people that follow you already,
Mm-hmm.
and know that you DJ and enjoy your music and enjoy what you do, right? And are supportive of you. So it's like, just tap into that. It's the old business adage of like hot market versus cold market, right? That's your hot market, right? Because it's like these other people that know you already. Plug into that, and then everything else sort of kind of like starts following.
It's great. Can I put up a list of what we can get from tier 1 to tier 3? I will put that in an email. I will send out an email tomorrow, the same email that you, or a follow-up email to this, and with a list of what to do for tier 1 to tier 3. So with Twitch, Jarvis's last question is, statement more than anything. There was no way to download the content to push it on the Facebook or anywhere else. So here's something. If you use OBS, there is a setting in OBS that allows you to simultaneously record the content while you're streaming. So once you're done streaming, it stops recording, and now you have your live stream ready to go. So by doing that, like plug in an external hard drive, do your live stream, and make it happen. Now you have content once you're done to cut up and go.
Yeah. But all those streaming platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Facebook Live, Facebook Live does
No, there's
it
a
too.
way. There's a way to do it.
Yeah, but like for sure on Twitch and for sure on YouTube, once you are done, it's archived, right? So your stream is done, it's archived. With Twitch, for sure, you can download. There's a button. You're done. You download. It creates a file for you. You got that too. So yeah, I think that's one of those things too. Where it's like, do that, record to your hard drive, but then also know that like if you're streaming Twitch, you can download the final stream, and then it's there. I do that all the time. Yeah, like there's times like I was recording to my Drivecaster, and like the hard drive got full and it was right in the middle, and I couldn't stop the stream. And I was like, what am I doing? So then I downloaded it for Twitch, and then I used that for like the YouTube upload and the Apple Podcast upload.
Perfect.
Which is
perfect. So that's so there you go. So you are able to make it happen. I know I've been able to download live streams because I know, I forgot to record this Zoom call, for example. And same thing, like, what do I do? This is some genius stuff that's lost in the cloud forever. But it was not. You could download it from Facebook. And if you are the one uploading the video, you can download it from Facebook and make it happen if it's your account. So a couple things. First off, thank you so much, Rodney, for taking time out of your day to help us all. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, man. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know if you can't tell. Like, I love talking about this stuff.
It's love. I feel that.
I love it.
That's why you're the guru, baby. That's why you're the guru of all this. In continuing, I'm calling this series, by the way, this is called For the Culture, because I'm doing it for DJs. I'm really doing this for the culture. We all need help right now. And in this downtime, I was really thinking about like, what can I do to help play a small role in helping everybody else out? And if this is the only way that I thought would be, not the only way, but this is like one of the best ways I felt that I can contribute to the culture and to help everybody's career. So thank you all for coming in and tuning in. The next installment of the For the Culture series is going to be Friday from 5 to 6 Pacific Standard. I'm actually talking with Abe, Rodney's cousin. Abe is my website designer, and we're gonna have an overview on what to look at for your website. So you heard it here first. I'm gonna send an email about it tomorrow, along with the tips that Jarvis was asking for. And so be sure to come out to that. If you need help with your website, tell your friends, let people know. But otherwise, thank you again, Rodney. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, y'all. Be safe.
Yes. Thank you.
Peace.